so good to have you with us. It is just always great to share time with you. I have a pretty poignant question to ask you this morning, though. Do you give a damn? No, really. Do you really give a damn about what is happening in the world? And are you going to do something about it? Now, my guest believes that there is an unfortunate cultural shift to increase self-centeredness. And frankly, I got to ask, what's causing it? If you haven't noticed, we're kind of going through a little bit of a civil war right now. Civil war of ideas, philosophies, ideology. We're going to explore an important subject today of whether or not you, frankly, give a damn. Remember, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Well, we need to start giving a damn. Wake up, America, is what we're talking about today. My guest has a diverse education and has numerous successes as an employee, business owner, entrepreneur, and consultant. He earned many awards while working for IBM and has started, supported, and sold many successful business ventures in his career. As the former leader of the Louisiana Technology Council, he was selected by the governor's office as Technology Leader of the Year by helping Louisiana become one of the top 3 states in the country in technology job and wage growth. In July of 2019, Entrepreneurs Organization of Louisiana presented him with its Marshall Klein Entrepreneur of the Year Award for his work in helping Entrepreneurs Organization of Louisiana become the fastest growing entrepreneurial chapter in the world. His corporate and conference presentations provide powerful motivation for a mindset change that leads to success and purpose in life and business. All of this is based on why his give a damn principles and philosophy are so important for business and society to adopt. He's the author of this book right here, and it's so appropriately named, Give a Damn, The Ticket to Cultural Change. He is married to Elizabeth, has 3 children and 4 stepchildren, and a brand new baby grandchild. And he is a resident of New Orleans. Welcome to the program, Mark S. Lewis.
You're terrific, Kaz. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, and let's qualify this because you're not sitting in New Orleans this morning. Where are you? You're in the mountain time zone like I am. Where are you at?
Well, I wanted to get closer to you because when you invited me to be on this program, I wanted to be on Montana. But I'm here at Flathead Lake with my in-laws. We come up here every year during this time frame and get away from the heat in New Orleans, which can be pretty oppressive this time of year.
It can be hot and sticky in the Big Easy.
Yeah, it is. You know, I grew up in Rochester, New York, so when I came to New Orleans, it was quite a change for me. But yeah, you get used to it.
Well, you know, when I talk to people about Utah, we can always say it's a dry heat. You know, it's like the 2 skeletons in the cartoon. One leans over the other and says, but it's a dry heat. No, it's a sticky, wet, nasty heat.
Well, you know, the temperature the other day was like 98. It was pretty hot, but the humidity was 81. So the feels like temperature was 123, which is the most it's been in a long, long time.
Yeah, what's the point of even taking a shower?
Just go outside. Yeah, it's exactly right.
You take a shower, you go outside. Well, there it went. Now we all smell like Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, that's true. Take 2 showers a day typically when you're in New Orleans.
That's true. Everybody's got a pool in their backyard.
Yeah,
it's like so good to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, I have a special message, and it just came to me, you know, as I go through life, that I just saw so many things that were just unbelievable. And so I decided about 5 years ago to try to do something about it. And that was the reason for the book.
So tell us how this book came through you.
Well, you know, several years ago, if you told me like 10 years ago I was going to write a book, I would have told you, you're absolutely crazy. I'm not a writer. I'm a business guy. I wasn't good at English. But, you know, throughout the day, I used to see things in society that really was like, are you serious? Very simple things. And so I decided that I was going to record these all on tape because it happened every day. And I got so much data that I decided that I wanted to put all this data together. I had like 60 typewritten pages, and so then I had to organize it. And so that's what kind of brought that to my attention. But throughout, even business and in personal life, these things just really got me down because people were doing things that were so selfish to other people, and they just weren't concerned about what they were doing and what effect it had on other people. Now, we get concerned with the effect that we have on other people when we can internalize something that affects us. So I started writing the book, and it came to where it is today.
Well, let's talk about Give a Damn. Most of the time when I have somebody on as a guest, I try to read the book, and I want our viewers and listeners to know I've actually read your book a couple times. Well, I've listened to your book a couple of times. Well, okay, several times in your listening to your audio. So I just think it's such an important message. And why is it that you believe people just don't give a damn right now? What's going on in our culture that we just don't give a damn?
Well, before I get to that question, I want to say thank you, because you are the main reason that I'm having my Audible book that's coming out in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So thank you for that. And you're a guy that gets it. And yeah, I know your history, and you've been through a lot, and you've made a great transformation in your life. So you have to be very commended for that. But, I think there's a lot of factors where people have not been what I call like we were maybe 40, 50 years ago. 40, 50 years ago, Lou Holtz said it best. When we were growing up, we had duties and responsibilities. Now people think they have rights and privileges. And I think there are several factors, and I've identified 9 factors in the book. One is technology. I think technology has been great because it's allowed people to be more productive. But at the same time, technology has limited our communications. And those communications now, we go through texting, we go through email. We don't have that face-to-face interaction. And there's a lot to be lost with this. And we're always buried in our phones. We don't have that face-to-face communication that I think is really prevalent. And there's a lot to be said about that. But also what we're being taught on TV, if you look at the programs when I was growing up, we had these messages that were taught by TV programs like the Brady Bunch or Father Knows Best or the Andy Griffith Show. Now we have these programs that really teach things that are like what I call the wow factor. It's like sensationalism. These shows like Here Come the Kardashians or The Survivor, where people are now so concerned about what they can do to help themselves versus what they can do to help others. So, and the media has contributed a lot of that too. So people love to see themselves on TV. They like to disrupt things. So there's so many things and so many factors going on that are causing us to be more self-centered. And that was the main reason for the book, to make people more aware of what we're doing, how we're doing, and what we need to do to change. Because when we change, we can have a better life, actually.
You had an interesting experience when you were leading the Louisiana Technology Group. Tell us that story about how you learned firsthand that we can't even trust even our most local leaders sometimes.
Well, as the leader of the Tech Council, I had been trying to get our technology companies involved with the city of New Orleans. And I kept pushing and pushing because everything they did was out of state, and they wouldn't give us this opportunity. And one day I got a call that said, hey, we need your help. We want you to bid on this project, because the mayor of New Orleans had done some things with the data on his computer that actually deleted. And so we were asked to submit a bid to recover that data. And normally I never do that. I would always farm these bids out to the technology companies that could do it. I called a couple of my group people and said, look, I want to bid on this because I want to prove to the mayor that we have the organization and the wherewithal from the technology standpoint that we can do the work. So a guy gave me a bid. It was like $15,000. I said, can you do it for half of that? He goes, yeah, why? I said, because I want to get the bid. We bid, we won the project. So to make a long story short, we went down to meet the IT people and told them exactly what we're going to do, because it was a court order that we had to recover this data. So we get there at 1 o'clock, And at 1:30, we left. We went back and said, we're going to start the next day. And when we got there the next day, we found out that an hour after we had gotten there, someone had written a program to deliberately delete the data on this major server, which had all the calendar items and email addresses of 61 mailboxes, but 59 of them were intact. 2 of them had been deliberately deleted. That was the mayor of New Orleans and the CIO. So we said, oh, well, this is not right because you can't deliberately delete data. It's all public information. Well, to make a long story short, we actually had to call the FBI and said, look, this is what happened. What do we need to do? We went public with our results. About a month later, we told the city what we were going to do. Everything we did was on the surface, very transparent. And then after we went public with the results, of course, the mayor wasn't very happy with it. And it's a whole long story. I suffered a lot from that perspective, only because I knew what I was doing was the right thing. And there were some things that happened that were pretty tough to swallow, to be honest with you, after we went through that whole thing. But I knew what I was doing was the right thing.
Well, it's not always convenient to do the right thing. It's not easy to do the right thing, but I applaud you for going to the FBI. And ultimately, didn't the mayor of New Orleans go to prison for 10 years?
So here's an interesting story. I knew the U.S. district attorney, and I asked him, we were at an event, and I've known him for several years because he did some presentations for the Tech Council at one point. So I saw him at this event. I said, Jim, come here. I got a question to ask you. And he came and looked at me curiously. He says, I have a question that you can't answer, but I'm going to ask that question anyway. And he looked at me and I said, here's the question. The data that the Louisiana Technology Council recovered, was it important for your case? He looked at me, never said a word, smiled, and walked away. Then I knew that what we had done was right. We turned everything over, and at the end of the day, the mayor of New Orleans was convicted of 10 years of corruption, went to jail. He's in jail now for fraud, all kinds of bad things that he did to the detriment to the city of New Orleans and the people there. So I was very happy that we were able to do that and provide that information.
Well, and what's interesting about that story is he got into office as the one who was going to clean up all the corruption. Then you went through Hurricane Katrina, where the city really needed help, and he didn't help his own constituency.
You're right. And he was supposed to be the business guy, didn't have a lot of political background. He was going to be the guy that would make things right because, Louisiana has been noted for corruption. And for some reason, I guess greed got in the way, and he had these opportunities to really possibly make a lot of money. And, I always say this is you can do the wrong thing. But eventually, if you do the wrong thing, you're going to get caught no matter what. It may take one day, it might take a week, it might take 10 years, but eventually it's going to come back and get you. So if you do all the right things, then you don't have anything to worry about. And that happens all the time. 99 out of 100 times, you're going to pay the price.
Karma is real. And it'll come back and bite you in the keister.
Yep.
100% of the time. The law of sowing and reaping is absolutely real.
Let me tell you this story too that really kind of affected me. It was, the day before we went public with our results, I got a call from the city of New Orleans and saying, hey, we want to know what the results are. So, I sent you the results, a fax, email, and a regular postal mail. But what was happening is the day before, my son called me up at 2:30. He said, Dad, did you change all the door locks to the house? I go, no, why would I do that? I said, well, I can't get the key into the door locks. None of them will open. I said, okay, well, let me figure out what's going on. I have to call the police. What happened was this. We had the police that came out, and at the end of the day, someone had squirted super glue in all my 8 exterior door locks, and we couldn't get into the house. This was the day before we went public with the results. So police came out, the FBI came out, they took all kinds of fingerprints, couldn't find anything. But at the end of the day, it was very this thing just was unusual to happen, and I think it was a scare tactic for me not to do it. But at the end of the day, I slept well that night because I knew what I was doing. It was the right thing. But I was watching my back the whole time after that incident to make sure that nothing else would happen. But it was scary. And my daughter at the time didn't want to live with me. She had to go with her mother, live with her mother, and she was scared. But at the end of the day, I slept well that night.
Let's talk about a philosophy that you have, and you call it the rusty nail principle. Why is it so important to pick up the rusty nail? What does that mean in a very simple way for all of us?
Well, that's a great question, and here's the philosophy behind that. I was walking across the street to go into my office, and in the middle of the street was this rusty nail, and I kicked it. And most people wouldn't pick up that rusty nail, but I picked it up because I didn't want anything to happen to anybody. But if that rusty nail was in the middle of your driveway, what would you do? Everybody would pick it up. Why? Because now you can internalize something that affects you. And when you can internalize something like that, then what you do what I call, you give a damn. You don't want it to affect you. So you make those internal initiatives so it doesn't affect you. And that's the problem with today's society. My thought was, if I kicked this rusty nail, it was in the middle of the highway, I didn't want a lady who had a baby in the back of her car pick up that nail on her tire, go down a major highway and have a blowout. That was my philosophy. So I might have done something that prevented something that could have been very serious to somebody. So here's the situation where most people don't get it. We give a damn when we can internalize something. When we get outside our own domain, we have a tendency to forget that. And I don't want people to forget that. Think about what your actions may have to help people or to prevent something that could hurt people. And I have that philosophy. It's always thinking about others like I would think about a family member or something along those lines. And that's what really improves society in a long-term perspective. And it works. And there's a lot of data in my book that supports that philosophy.
And I try to think that way too. When I traveled for years and going through airports or on transit systems, whatever the case may be, I'd always think to myself, that's somebody's mother. That's somebody's grandmother. And it was my responsibility, I felt, to give a damn. And I don't think that we just give a damn right now. And social media and the traditional mainstream media makes it difficult to give a damn, because then you're shamed and you're judged, and it's pretty harsh, and it's harder than ever to do the right thing because somebody's going to be a hater and throw rocks at you. But you've just got to believe in yourself, know that you're enough and that your voice is important, and let your light shine and give a damn. And you strongly believe, you start right there at the beginning of your book by saying giving a damn starts at home.
When you think about the data that's in the book and the philosophy that I put into there, when you do things for other people, it's a sense of purpose that you've helped somebody, and there's a sense of satisfaction that you've done something good. There's a study that was said that was done, and I can't remember who did it, the Pewter Research, I believe it was, in the book, that says when people volunteer and when they do things to help other people, they actually live longer because you have a sense of satisfaction. And when you have a sense of satisfaction, there's less stress that has on the body. And the stress wreaks havoc on a body. And there's a lot of studies that show that. So if you can reduce that stress, then you're going to actually live a longer life because your body can accommodate it, feels better. And that's an important fact that a lot of people don't know. The more happy you can become, the less stress you have, the longer you're going to live, the more things you're going to do to make people happy, your life improves, everybody's life improves, and everybody wins. It's a win-win. And I just have a hard time for people not understanding that. And that's one of my messages. I want people to understand. And there's so many other factors that can lead to that too.
I'm with you, though. I believe it starts at home. And my kids always got tired of me reminding them, please and thank you. Starts with all of the basics, manners, and giving a damn starts at home.
You're right, and I think that's somewhat lost today than it was in the past, because part of what you do at home and what's taught by adults about respect and please and thank you and excuse me, we're losing sight of that thing. And I do a presentation, and there's a picture of this lady and this guy, and there's a door that's open. And I go, what do you see in this picture? We don't see this anymore. What is it? A simple act. And a lot of people don't understand it. And here's a guy opening a door for a woman to get in a car. Simple acts like that you don't rarely see. And it's almost like sometimes if you do it, it's an embarrassment. But it's not. You're just respecting that person, want to help that person in any way. But it does start at home, the respect. And part of what we learn at home is what we see on TV. Part of what we learn at home is what our parents teach us. And the parents aren't as home as they used to be maybe 30, 40 years ago. So when we're at home alone, we get on video games and we learn all these things that are not good, and it teaches bad things. And I think that's part of the problem with society, with technology. How do we get back to teaching what needs to be taught? And I am a firm believer that we can teach it in kindergarten, start at first grade, where we really focus on morals and education, respect, responsibility. I want a class that teaches this in kindergarten, first grade. Why can't we have a class that teaches moral education like we have a class that teaches English, and do it every year?
Because how are you going to get people to agree on those morals?
Well, we know it works, right? I mean, when you think about respect and responsibility and accountability, when you think about the people who have that, they have a certain element of light about them that's different than people who are negative. When you have these people who are positive, who wants to be around a negative person? I don't. I mean, negativity, you can't change. It's hard to change a negative person. But if we can teach it at a very early age and kids can get it, and they bring this forth, the kids can have a major impact on today's society. They actually can teach adults some things.
Well, that's why I would challenge that a little bit by saying, yes, at some level, they should try to teach it in school. But I think too many parents pawn off those responsibilities to the school system. Folks, they're not going to learn it at school. Hopefully, they have a great teacher who insists on please and thank you and some of the basics. But for the most part, they got to get it from mom and dad. And children need to learn how to serve and care and love and give a damn in their own house. I mean, do they give a damn to pick up their own socks? Do they give a damn to do their laundry? Do they give a damn to turn off the lights? I mean, those things start at a very young age. And that may seem like something so small, but that translates into everything we do in society. And you can't turn on national news right now without realizing that people just freaking don't give a damn. And you do get in the crosshairs if you stand up and try to give a damn. You're shamed, you're shunned, you're booed, you're told to sit down and shut up and mind your own business. But more than ever before, we have got to stand up and give a damn, or we will lose our history. And we know that if you don't learn from history, you're condemned to repeat it, but we've got to. And so I'm going to challenge, and I know this is part of your challenge too, but from my perspective, I'm going to challenge anyone watching the video, listening to the audio as time goes by, stand up and give a damn. Be heard. Because if your voice isn't heard and it's being squelched by the mob, we are in a world of hurt. And we're going to lose so much of what we have unless more good people stand up and give a damn. What's that old quote? I think I still have it on here. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. We've got to stand up and give a damn, my friends.
Yeah, it's funny, but when you had Brian Tracy on the other day, it's a very simple concept. It's very simple, but it's not easy. Change is very
right? Get a job. Don't lie.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Be responsible.
Yeah, and it's like you're right. It's simple, but it's very difficult because we don't think about our actions and what effect it has on other people. We have to start internalizing. Look, we shouldn't do something to help people with the expectation in getting something in return. Brian Tracy said it. I loved the conversation I had with him was awesome. I mean, he gets it 100%. Do it because it's the right thing. And guess what? It'll come back to you, but don't expect it. It'll come back to you more than you can possibly imagine. And you're a perfect case with it, Kaj, because I didn't expect anything. I reached out to you and then you came back, and I've been working on this Audible thing for like a year and I couldn't get it. And then all of a sudden you came into my life and now I've got an Audible version. So I never expected it, but it came back, and God bless for you and for other things that people have done to help me.
Well, we are all in this together. And I think that's where the self-centeredness comes in, that, you're going to do this all by yourself. You're not going to do it all by yourself. And therefore, you're going to need the help of others. And so give freely. Just give freely without any expectation of anything in return. And just amazing things happen, and unseen powers do come to your aid. Let's shift a little bit and talk about giving a damn in business, because I think right now everyone is trying to be so politically correct right now that, we give a damn about this cause and we're giving millions of dollars to this, that, or the other. And it's a facade in many cases. How do we give a damn in our businesses to really make a difference in the communities where we live and serve?
Well, that's a great question. And it all really starts with your employees. There was a quote that, and I moderate CEO roundtables, and I always tell people, the best thing you can do is take care of your employees. And if you take care of your employees, they'll take care of your customers. And what you want to do within a business is really focus on what you can do to provide the best customer service possible. I have this interview technique, and I ask people about whether quality is more important than customer service or revenue. And if anybody says revenue is more important than customer service, I don't hire them. And the reason I'm being is because the focus is, and when they say that, is the reverse. They're more concerned about revenue. And then when the revenue comes, then the customer shall take care of people. That's not how it works. Cultural in business and having an effective culture is the utmost importance than anything else. I tell CEOs, I don't care about revenue. And they look at me like, what's the problem with you? I said, look, if you care about taking care of people and the customer service, the revenue will come. So it's the reverse. So more importantly than anything, you have these social things and you can help with the community and do all those kind of things. That's great. And I applaud people that, but it's really more important than this. Sacrificing profits to help customers is the way it should be, because in the long run, you're going to benefit from it. People are going to tell good stories about what you did, and therefore that's going to get out, and it just contributes to the growth of an organization.
And managers at every level within an organization need to be leading by example to give a damn about the little things as well as the big things within the organization. We've all had experience with leaders. Well, I say this in this way. We've all had managers, right? Managers who just don't give a damn. To your point, we've got a budget to hit. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the shareholders are not going to be happy if you don't hit your numbers. But you have to give a damn about people, meaning the customer and the people like you're talking about. And I'm with you. If you take good care of your people internally, they'll take care of your customer. That's why I think customer service training as a Band-Aid for what's going on in a bad business is just a facade that'll come back to bite. You can't teach customer service techniques and then have employees that are not treated with that same kindness and respect. If you expect your people to treat your customers with kindness, respect, and you don't do that to them, they know it's fake and they'll just go to work somewhere else.
I'd say I have a philosophy of this is you want to have all A players in your business. And the best way to lose A players is to tolerate C players, people who don't give a damn. Now, it's a perfect example in my book. This guy had to get a proposal out. He had to meet a deadline by 3:00, and he needed help. He wasn't going to be able to do that. So he goes to this guy, Pete. Let's call his name is Pete. He said, Pete, I need your help. I got to get this proposal out in 2 hours. Can you help me? He said, well, no, I got to do something, and I can't really do that. I said, well, look, I'll give you $50 if you help me. And the guy goes, okay, I'll do it. Well, that's the wrong philosophy from that perspective. The philosophy says, I want to help this guy out. He's got a deadline to meet, and I want to do it. But when the guy offered him like an incentive to do it, and he got paid for doing it, that becomes self-centered thinking. Oh, I'm going to get paid, so now I can do it. And whereas before he should have said, yeah, I'm going to help this guy. It's the right thing to do. I don't want to get anything out of it. And that's where the self-centered thing is. I'm only going to do it because I'm going to benefit personally. I needed to do it because to benefit that person. And so those are the kind of thinking that we have to get outside. We got to get outside our domain and think about what effect we have on people, how important it is. And, when you look at all this, it helps you live longer. Who doesn't want to live longer?
Well, if you're living longer in peace, happiness, fulfillment, having an extraordinary life, I hope it's a long and healthy life. There are a lot of people who are miserable. And I think you've hit kind of a responsive chord on why people are so miserable. Because frankly, they don't give a damn. Nothing's important. They don't value anything. When you start to give a damn about others, right? If we're told to lose ourselves in the service of others, that's how you build substance to your soul. And I know so many people say, oh, I'm trying to find myself. Well, if you want to find yourself, lose yourself by serving others, you'll build more substance to your own soul. There'll be so much more to find. But I just love the simple message, the title of the book, and the message is just give a damn. Let's talk about giving a damn with the government, because you exposed your local government and they were more focused on self-enrichment than doing what was in the best interest of the city, and karma caught up and they're paying their debt to society now. But what can we do about this whole notion that, frankly, I don't care. It's so easy to look in the Beltway and say they need to change. They need to do things different. I agree. It's easy to go there. But unless we're giving a damn in City Hall, what's the point in telling Washington to give a damn? So get involved locally to give a damn in your own community.
Boy, that's a really tough question to answer. And the problem...
The questions were easy, Mark.
I know. So you're right about that. It's a tough one, because a lot of people in government, when they make decisions not so much in the best interest of the people, but what's in their best interest in terms of two areas. One, can I raise enough money to get reelected? And two, if I make the decision, how am I going to get the most amount of votes based on the decision I make? And that's the wrong philosophy. And I think that's what's happening in a lot of government today. We've become so polarized. I do a presentation, motivational presentation, and part of what I ask is this. I interact with the audience. I go, are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? And everybody goes, I can't answer that question. I go, you know why? You want to answer that question? If I told you if I was one or the other, you're going to put me in a box, and I can't think outside that box. And once I think outside that box and my political party sees it, they're going to ostracize. Oh, you're a traitor of the whatever party. That's not the way it should work. The way it should work is that we all work together. We find a common ground. There's pros and cons. Not everybody's going to get what they want, but it's for the best interest of the people. It's like, for instance, this. Here's a perfect example. When you run for office, you get 51% of the vote. 49% don't like you. No one ever complains. They don't complain, right? But when we, like the special interest groups, if it's good for 80% or 95%, the special interest comes in because they got a lot of money and they can give a lot of money to this candidate if they vote this way. And therefore, the person's influenced based on money and votes, and that's not the way it should be. It should be based on what's best interest for most of the people. I can't please everybody, But that's where government's gone wrong. We haven't got these politicians that can step up and do the right thing, and they make decisions based on votes and money.
I'm just waiting for George Washington or Martin Luther King or somebody else to step up. But we are in such a culture right now of, even if you give a damn, you have to be very careful how you express it. And at some point, we're going to have to get the courage to stand up and say, yes, I give a damn, and I'm going to do something about it. And we hear about it, whether, biblically it was the Good Samaritan who went above and beyond, even though maybe it wasn't politically correct for the Samaritan to do it, of all people. And it was the Samaritan who did it. In our day and age, I mean, it's the most unsuspecting people helping someone that it just doesn't make sense. And that's what stands out. And those random acts of service do not need to be random if we would just stand up and say, there's a door to be opened. There's something here to be picked up. I hate that within an organization. That's not my job. In the Mars Candy Company years ago, the founder of the company actually had a philosophy. He never even wanted to hear, that's not my job. It's everyone's job to keep the building clean, not the janitors. It's right. Everyone's job to pick up that piece of paper. It's everyone's job to make America a great place to be. And I don't think if we're giving a damn in our individual homes first, then the neighborhoods we live in, the cities that we live in, we can kiss America goodbye, so to speak, because you've got to take care of what's closest to your home, your community. And how many of our cities out there, people just don't give a damn. Litter, graffiti, don't stop to help each other. They're not even nice. I take the dog out on a trail just here behind my house, and we go on a big walk every day. And you can just tell who gives a damn and who doesn't by just how they treat each other. And if you want the greatest lessons of life, dial up your give a damn process. The more you give a damn, the more life has meaning and purpose to you. The more you give to people, the more you actually get. I know it sounds so selfish, but there's actually research that shows it's not the receiver that gets the most dopamine and endorphins from the process. It's the giver.
You're so right about that. You make such great points. And here's what people need to think. And, when you go down the highway and someone throws trash out the window, right? And they go, like, why are you doing that? Or they throw a cigarette butt or whatever it may be. My question to them would be, would you do the same thing in your house? Would you just throw that trash in the middle of your living room and leave it there?
Yeah, there are some people who do, though. Well,
it's like, most people would say, no, I wouldn't do that. But would you throw a bottle and just throw it when you're walking down the highway? I saw this guy coming out of I go to the Saints game, and he just put a bottle right on the pavement there. And I'm going, well, I picked it up, right behind him, and I threw it away. And I'm going, he wouldn't put that bottle, he would throw it in the garbage. Think about your actions. There's two things. Think about your actions, what effect may have on others. But think about those actions. Would you want a person to do the same thing to you as you would do to them? And a lot of people would say no, but we don't think that way. That's the problem. We got to get outside this internal face of ours, outside our domain, and think about our actions, what effect it has on others, and what we can do about it. That's why I created this Give a Damn movement. It's an interesting story. You talked about government. I had an initiative. You're going to think this is funny. I had an initiative that I was going to go and take a van. My wife wasn't too happy about this. I was going to wrap a van that said Give a Damn on it, and I was going to travel to Washington, D.C., and give everybody in Washington, 535 of them, a copy of my book. And here's what I did to prep that. I sent everyone in Congress an email saying, hey, I've got this initiative. I want to do this. This is my thing. Can you get back with me? And how many people do you think got back with me? 0. None. The only thing they did is they added me to their email distribution list.
For contrary,
Get that?
campaign contributions.
Well, it's like Congress was where it needs to start. It needs to start at the top, right? And we got to get this message. That's why I created this Give a Damn movement, to try to get people to join the Give a Damn movement and take the American Accountability Pledge. And that pledge is, I do this, it all talks about all the give a damn philosophies in there. So that, I want 1 million people on there. I want 2 million, I want 5 million, because if we all have a get together as a herd, we can have that's it. We can have a big influence on people. Yes. That's the American. You know what I also have, Kaz, too, is the Congressional Accountability Pledge.
Yeah, good luck with trying to get 535 of those.
Right.
So they frankly don't give a damn. Back to your point, it's will I get reelected and will this decision get me more votes? And a lot of the decisions are not about votes right now. They're just crazy.
Term limits would be the key in this. We have it for the president. We don't have it for Congress. But term limits prevent.
Don't get it started there.
My wife, when I got married, she said, there's 2 things you can't do if we get married. She goes, what? I go, what? And she goes, you can't run for political office. And 2, you can't fly for the Blue Angels. Now, I wouldn't do that because I'm not a flyer, but her dad was a flyer. And
you're like, I got number 2 taken care of. I promise I won't fly for the Blue Angels.
But I said, you know what? I'd like to run for 1 term. I'm not going to do this because I love my wife too much, and she's the most wonderful person in the world, besides you, of course, guys. But
why would you do that to your family in today's world?
So I said, I want to run for 1 term. I would get elected, and I'd make all the right decisions, the best decisions for everybody, and I couldn't be influenced by votes or money because I wasn't going to run again, right? So I could do all those things that were necessary for the best interest of the people. You don't see that.
No, and I've heard politicians, I'm a 1-term guy, and they get in there and they get so enamored by the process, and before you know it, they've served for 40 years. So I just don't know why they just don't have their own term limits. But to your point, it's all about self-interest. And let's go towards the home stretch in our discussion today, because chapter 10 talks about changing from the inside, gaining awareness and finding the love within. Because frankly, we can talk about Washington, D.C. and City Hall and businesses and all those things, and even in our home, but it starts with us. How well are we doing giving a damn for ourselves? And it starts within. Tell us more about that.
Well, it starts within by becoming aware of your actions and your thought process. And it's very difficult. Now, I wear this, I don't have a brace on me, but I have this Give a Damn bracelet that I wear, and I forgot to put it on when I came to this interview. But you have to continue to be aware of your actions and your influences on people. So the best way to do that is have a mindset, obviously, but think about what you're doing and how it affects other people and write it down. If you can say, today I'm going to be aware of 1 or 2 things that I changed that says I'm a give a damn person. So if you write those things down and do it for like 21 days straight, you're going to start learning the philosophy of giving a damn. And, it's like simple stuff like this. I throw a piece of paper in a wastebasket and I miss. Well, a lot of people wouldn't go pick that up, especially if you're in a public area. You just, someone else will pick it up. You can't have that thought process. You got to go back, pick it up and throw it in the garbage can. Very simple thing like that. And be aware of, you see a bottle when you're out walking and it's a plastic bottle, pick it up and throw it away because it's the right thing to do. All these little things can accumulate for you to be what I call a give a damn person. Now, it takes time. Coordinate that with somebody that say, I'm going to give a damn. Let's do a give a damn initiative together. Find a mentor. Find somebody that you can relay back and forth and say, okay, I did these 2 or 3 give a damn things today. What did you do? And it brings everybody together. Join the Give a Damn movement, and I send out videos twice a week about what you can learn that's on Instagram, what you can learn to be a give a damn person. I'm doing everything I can to help educate people, but have it in your mind. Think. That's the best thing. Keep thinking everything that you do and what effect it has on people. And when you do these things, you have a sense of feeling and satisfaction. You're absolutely right. It's called the giver's gain. The more you give, the more you're going to get in return, but don't expect it. Brian Tracy was so perfect when he said that. Do it, don't expect anything in return, and you'll get a lot in return. It's just the karma. You're right. Karma is it.
Here's a question from one of our viewers right now. Christian Jensen in Draper asks, how do you know when to draw the line and actually not give a damn? Sincere question.
That's a good question. So what will happen is this: let's say you give a damn continually, and this other person doesn't, and you keep trying to help, and you can't do anything about it. The best thing you can do is just step back and say, okay, I've done all I could. I'm going to continue to be a give a damn person. This person isn't a give a damn, and I can't continue to reach and try to help. And there's just a point of no return. You just have to step back and say, I'm going to move on. And sometimes you just have to move on when people don't give a damn about you and you give a damn about them. It continues. You just have to move on.
Well, and to your point, it's also just not keeping score, right? If you believe in your purpose, if you believe in your mission, you're trying to make a difference. And even if it looks like the goalposts keep being moved, or you're not getting the reciprocation or the accolades or anything, you're just like, gosh, I don't know if I'm making a difference. I don't know if I'm doing any progress. That's usually when you need to push harder and do more. Because sometimes you're just on the verge of breaking through, but it's our natural tendency. We let the saboteurs in, and that's when we give up. We're right there at a point of almost flashpoint or breakthrough, and we just need to keep on keeping on, because our persistence is our measure of belief in ourselves. And so if we give a damn, and either the people in our life, and remember, some of the people closest to you don't give a damn, and so you're not going to change them. Right. So you just need to keep on keeping on, because you're being true to you. And if no one else follows, you're still true to you. And I know where Christian's coming from in that question, because you can give and rise up and start movements and try to give a damn. And you're almost like, hello. I'm here all alone. There's an echo here. Because no one is supporting the cause, so to speak. And it's frustrating, and it's exhausting to keep fighting. But I would say to Christian and those watching and listening, don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit.
I totally agree with you. And the bottom line is this: you know you're doing the right thing. And when you do the right thing all the time, there's a sense of satisfaction, not only to you, but even to your maker, to God. You know, I'm a Christian and I believe in God. And the thing about this is I ask this question a lot to people, and they don't have an answer. The question is this: why are you on this earth? Why did God put you here? A lot of people can't answer that question. And my answer to this question is this: God put me on this earth to serve other people. And by serving other people, I serve myself. And that's what it's all about. It's like the consummate thing for me is my purpose is to help and serve other people. And then I serve myself by doing so.
And you know what? You do it even if no one's watching. I think a lot of times we do things and this is what the world looks like for the most part, right? They see the world like this, right? Yeah. Look at the riots and the statues being torn down, and everybody's doing this, or they're getting pictures. Here's my challenge, and I'll do this from time to time. I do try to promote certain causes, and so I'll take pictures of events that I'm in, and just say, hey, we're here, we're doing this. But for the most part, 99% of what I try to do for the world, I don't put on social media, because I'm not doing it to be seen. It's, to your point, it's the self-satisfaction that you're just living your life on purpose. You're trying to help other people. And I'm not downplaying anyone who does a lot of selfies and a lot of videos on social media saying, look at all the things I'm doing. But what I'm saying is, it's not about us if it's a true cause, C-A-U-S-E. serve the cause, do it sometimes anonymously. But to your point, can you put your head on the pillow at night saying, I gave the world the best I had today? And do sometimes you get kicked in the teeth? Absolutely. But do good anyway. Give a damn anyway.
Yeah, Cos, but you need to set that example. People need to see the example that you're setting. And to be able to communicate that to the world is really important because we need more people.
It's the tone that you do it. So just to your point, I think you need to do it. You can promote it, but just do it in a spirit of love. And I think
here's another question that you should ask yourself too, is what would you do if you knew that your mom was always watching you, or a mentor was always watching you, or if God was always watching you? What would you do? And you'd want to do the right thing to make sure that your mentor who's watching you is satisfied that you're doing the right thing. So sometimes we need something like God or a mom or a mentor to help us remind us, because it's the right thing to do. We go off track all the time. There's a lot of situations that we go off track. And there's another point I want to make too, is this. Most people do the wrong thing because they can justify it in their mind as being right. Think about that. You do the wrong thing because you could justify in your mind as being right, even though it's the wrong thing. We have to get away from that philosophy. It's not right. Like, I wouldn't go out and if there was a baby or somebody, I'd go out and hurt that baby for no reason. But if something caused me to saying, I have to get back at so-and-so, and there's a ticket to be able to do that, now we justify that we could do something wrong because it's the right thing to do. That is horrible. You can't do that. That's the point. You got to make sure you do the right thing for the right reason and not the wrong reason.
That's very well said. Mark, it's a pleasure to have you on today to have this very important discussion. I hope we'll all accept the challenge, be part of the movement to give a damn in our homes, in our schools, in our businesses, in our governments, and start within and give a damn about our own lives. How do people join the movement?
Well, before I do that, I want to just say, Kaz, you've been absolutely terrific. I'm so blessed to have met you. We've only known each other probably a couple months now. You are the consummate give a damn person. I know what you've been through. You've been absolutely terrific. And so I appreciate your support and the help of this movement. So they can support by going to the giveadamnbook.com. For people who don't know, Steve Gleason, he was the guy that actually wrote my foreword to the book, and he got ALS, and he's been doing everything he can to help people with ALS who've had it's a terrible disease. He's introduced technology to make sure that they have a better quality of life. So 20% of everything I do for the Give a Damn philosophy goes to help find a cure for ALS and help provide technology for people who have ALS live a better life. I wanted to make that important point because he wrote the foreword to my book. That guy is a true give a damn person. He's been through so a lot. He gives so much of what he does, and he's totally immobile. But he's unbelievable from that perspective. So I want to thank Steve Gleason. I want to thank you, Kaz, for everything you've done to help me and support me. You're a great friend. Everybody should listen to everything you say because you are spot on in what you do. And you are the give a damn person. Yes, you are. Go to giveadamnbook.com. They can send me an email at mlewis@giveadamnbook.com. They can buy the book on Amazon. I do motivational speeches. So everything that I can do to help improve this world, improve lives is what it's all about.
May we all give a damn in our own lives and in the lives of others. I love the way you say this. And I leave us all with this thought today. Individually, you can make a difference. Collectively, we can change the world. May we all give a damn and accept that responsibility to work together to change the world. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, sir. You're terrific. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Always a pleasure to share time with you. And remember, as this comes out on YouTube, make sure you like the video And tune in to the Cos Green audio experience, where we release all of these as audio the following week.